Good afternoon and welcome back, YouTube. And God bless all of you who have found this video. I hope the Lord is blessing you and your loved ones and keeping you all healthy and happy in these contentious times. Remember when Jesus was being crucified on the cross? And he prayed to the Father and he said, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." He said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." Because God created everything for its own purpose. Now, when I started this journey, I thought I was crazy for a long time. I told my wife, if this was anything other than the Bible, I would seek help. I thought I was going mad. And let me tell you, truly, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God, because he does with us whatever he chooses. Just as he did with these men. He said they cast lots, dividing up his garments among themselves. This was prophecy that they would do this long before these men were born. These soldiers, they said therefore to one another, "Let us not tear it, but cast lots for it, to decide whose it will be, so that the scriptures might be fulfilled. They divided my outer garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." Again, they knew not what they were doing. They were prophecy. The scriptures had to be fulfilled. So they were predetermined and predestined to do what they were going to do so that the scriptures might be fulfilled. Just like Jacob and Esau. Before the two were even born, God had decided who he was going to love and who he was going to hate. There was nothing that these two men could have done to change the outcome of their fate. What shall you say then? There is no injustice with God, is there? May it never be. For he says to Moses, "I will have mercy on whom I have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I have compassion." So it does not depend on the man who wills or the man who runs or what he desires, but on God who has mercy. Just like he did with the Pharaoh. He raised up Pharaoh for this particular purpose so he could demonstrate his power and his wrath. It would be talked about throughout the earth. These men were predestined and predetermined to be loved and hated before they were born. This is a fearful thing when you really think about it, folks. It makes you really look at yourself like, what kind of life am I living? Am I doing good or am I doing evil? What is he using me for? This is why I'm careful about adding words to the Lord, putting words in his mouth, or fluffing up the scriptures, I call it. Making sure that I stick to what's written. That way I'm safe, abiding in it, not deviating it, not using any of the elementary principles or the teachings of the world, but I'm sticking to this. Just like Judas. Judas was prophecy to betray Jesus long before he was even born. David spoke of it, or Christ spoke through David about it. I will have mercy on whom I have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I have compassion. It does not depend on what we attempt to do or what we want, but on God who has mercy. Another good example is Nebuchadnezzar. For he himself said, "All the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing. He does according to his will in the hosts of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. And no one can ward off his hand or say to him, 'What are you doing?' Because we are his creation. He creates us for whatever our purpose is, whatever his will is." Here's another good example. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing by him, on his right and on his left. And the Lord said, "Who will entice Ahab to go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead?" And one said this and another said that. Then a spirit came forward and stood before the Lord and said, I will entice him. And the Lord said to him, How? And he said, I will go out and be a deceiving spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. The Lord said, You are to entice him and also prevail. Go and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord has put a deceiving spirit in the mouth of all these your prophets, and the Lord has proclaimed disaster upon you. The Lord did it. He put a deceiving spirit in the mouth of all these your prophets, he said, and he's proclaimed disaster upon you. He used these prophets to deceive those that were going to be destroyed because they were already predetermined, predestined to be destroyed. These prophets had no choice. This is why I take what I do here seriously, because I am afraid of causing others to stumble, making sure that I am not an instrument to be used for evil, taking heed what I listen to. If you only listen to the scriptures, you can't go wrong.